Over 60, 4 worst breads you should never touch, and 4 you must eat daily. Did you know the average American consumes over 44 pounds of bread each year? But after treads, your body changes, and not all breads are created equal. In this video, we'll reveal the 4 worst types of bread you should never go near, and the 4 kinds you should enjoy daily to help protect your brain, your joints, and your digestive system. And yes, everything is backed by real, trustworthy science. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It helps us keep creating useful. Now let's start with the good news. In part 1, we'll look at the 4 breads you should eat more often after 60, beginning with one that's been nourishing humans for thousands of years and still has a quiet strength most people overlook. Number 1. Rye bread. There's one humble loaf that can quietly become your gut's best friend and your blood sugar's strongest ally. Rye bread. Many seniors are told to steer clear of bread altogether. Too many carbs, the warnings say, but not all carbs behave the same inside your body. And rye is one of the rare ones that stands apart, unlike the soft, fluffy white bread that races through your system, spiking your blood sugar and leaving you drained. Rye eats at a gentle pace. It moves slowly, supports your gut, and offers more than just calories. It offers care. What gives rye its healing touch is its fiber content, specifically a duo of soluble fibers called arabinoxylans and beta-glucans. You can picture them like tiny sponges, soaking up water and slowing the flow of sugar into your bloodstream. They also act as prebiotics, feeding the good bacteria in your intestines and helping reduce inflammation from the inside out. This isn't just theory. It's science that's been carefully measured. In 2022, researchers Yuri Shavrikov and Dmitry Shavrikov published a detailed review in the Ukrainian Food Journal, confirming that rye bread has a significantly lower glycemic index than wheat bread, often between 30 and 50, depending on how it's made. That means it delivers steadier energy and is far gentler on insulin levels, something every older adult should keep in mind. Even more remarkable is what happens when rye flour is blended with dried vegetable flours like beetroot or carrot. Petya Ivanova and Ilyana Lazova-Borisova explored this in their 2022 study, published in the Bulgarian Journal of Crop Science. They found that rye bread enriched with 40% beet flour delivered antioxidant activity of up to 28,683 mmol/Te per 100 grams, a dramatic boost compared to standard loaves. These breads didn't just taste heartier, they offered more fiber, more protein, and a richer supply of minerals like iron, zinc, and magnesium, all essential for aging muscles, nerve health, and energy. And the benefits don't stop with blood sugar or digestion, because rye is naturally rich in polyphenols, those plant compounds that fight oxidative stress. It also helps calm chronic inflammation. That matters if you're dealing with joint pain, high blood pressure, or fatigue. There's even growing evidence that steady consumption of rye may help reduce long-term risk of type 2 diabetes by supporting insulin sensitivity and gut health. The best way to bring rye into your routine is simply and consistently look for 100% whole grain rye bread and check that it's not mixed with white flour or labeled as light rye. If you can find versions made with carrot or beet flour, even better. Toast a slice for breakfast with soft avocado or enjoy it with turkey at lunch. Start with 1 slice a day and see how your body feels after a week. Number 2. Whole grain seeded bread. The right kind of bread, real, 100% whole grain with seeds, can quietly change the way you feel, especially after 60. It's not about fancy labels or trendy claims. It's about what's actually inside. Because when every part of the grain is left intact, bran, germ, and endosperm, and seeds like flax, sesame, pumpkin, and sunflower are folded into the dough, you're no longer just eating bread. You're giving your body tools to fight inflammation, regulate sugar, and support digestion where it starts, in your gut. So what's the secret? It starts with the grain. When wheat is left whole, it brings in fiber, B vitamins, magnesium, and trace minerals like iron and zinc. That fiber doesn't just pass through your gut, it feeds the good bacteria, slows sugar absorption, and supports regular bowel movements. The texture might be a little chewier, but your body thanks you for it. Now add seeds, and you unlock another level. Take flaxseed. It's rich in lignans, plant compounds that mimic gentle estrogens and help lower LDL cholesterol. Then there's pumpkin seed, which delivers magnesium, a mineral many seniors are deficient in, often leading to muscle cramps and blood pressure spikes. Sesame seeds contribute sesamin, a compound shown to reduce inflammatory markers and even support liver function, and sunflower seeds. They're full of vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects your arteries from oxidative stress. All this isn't just theory. In 2020, Dror, Reimann, and Veda published a comprehensive book called Whole Wheat Bread for Human Health. They reviewed decades of research and showed how keeping the wheat kernel intact and adding seeds created a nutritional profile that not only helped digestion, but strengthened the immune system and protected the colon from inflammation over time. But here's the catch. Not every bread that says whole grain or multigrain on the label actually delivers. In 2022, food scientists Fatma Boukid and Christina Rosell analyzed dozens of commercial breads sold across Europe. Their study, published in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition, revealed a surprising truth. Many breads labeled as multigrain still use refined flours as a base. That means less fiber, fewer nutrients, and more sugar-like digestion, exactly what older adults want to avoid. The breads that truly stood out were those labeled 100% whole grain, with seeds listed in the first few ingredients. These delivered up to 9 or 2 grams of fiber and 10 grams of protein per 100 grams, about double what you'd get from a standard white loaf. And importantly, they had lower glycemic impact, helping prevent those dangerous sugar surges that contribute to fatigue, cravings, and over time, insulin resistance. Beyond digestion, this bread works quietly on another level. Inflammation. A European study reviewed in the journal Nutrients in 2023 found that seniors who regularly consumed seeded whole grain bread had lower levels of CRP, C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation tied to heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So, how can you bring it into your kitchen? Start simple. Look for loaves labeled 100% whole grain, not just multigrain. The difference matters. Choose breads that feel dense, have visible seeds throughout, and avoid ones that list enriched wheat flour or wheat flour without the word whole. Have a slice mid-morning with almond butter, or pair it with eggs and greens for a balanced lunch. You don't need much. Just 1 or 2 slices a day can begin to shift how your body feels, digests, and rests. Number 3. Sprouted grain bread. Sprouted grain bread will feed your body with life already in motion. It's not just baked flour. It's bread that's been awakened. Just like your body needs after 60, when a grain begins to sprout, it's no longer just a seed. It's alive. And that small awakening makes a big difference. In that early moment of growth, the grain naturally activates a set of enzymes. Think of them like your body's kitchen tools. Amylase begins breaking starch into gentle sugars, making digestion smoother. Protease softens gluten, easing tension on your gut. And phytase unlocks minerals like magnesium and zinc that are otherwise trapped and wasted in regular bread. That transformation is what makes sprouted grain bread easier on aging stomachs and richer in nutrients that truly get absorbed. In 2022, Cardone and colleagues published a comprehensive review in the journal Foods titled Sprouted Grains, a comprehensive review of nutritional improvements and health benefits. They found that sprouting wheat increased the bioavailability of magnesium and zinc by over 50%. But even more impressive, the same process significantly raised levels of glutathione, a master antioxidant your body uses to calm inflammation and support immunity. These aren't lab findings that stay in the lab. In real life, older adults often describe the switch as eye-opening. A 2021 study by Ritu Sindhu, titled Study on the Health Benefit and Utilization of Sprouted Grains, noted that seniors eating sprouted bread reported clearer digestion, fewer episodes of gas or bloating, and improved energy. Part of that may be due to the B vitamin boost, especially folate and B6, that sprouting naturally provides. If you've ever felt that heavy, brick-like sensation after eating bread, it's probably from underprocessed starches and locked-up proteins. Sprouted bread sidesteps that. The transformation makes the grain act more like a vegetable, rich in enzymes, fiber, and soft on your system. It digests with less effort, leaving you feeling steady rather than sleepy. And that steady feeling matters, because it's not just about comfort, it's about reducing wear and tear inside your body. Elevated glutathione, for example, acts like a cleanup crew inside your cells, fighting off the tiny sparks of inflammation that can build into bigger issues, joint stiffness, blood sugar swings, even early fatigue. So if your old loaf leaves you feeling dull or bloated, this is the bread that listens to your body. Choose loaves labeled 100% sprouted whole grain. One slice a day is enough to feel the shift, topped with a soft-boiled egg, almond butter, or even a spoon of cottage cheese. Number 4. Authentic sourdough bread. Sometimes the simplest breads are the most powerful, and when it comes to sourdough, its slow fermentation unlocks a kind of magic your gut and immune system quietly thank you for. At first glance, sourdough might just look like another rustic loaf on the bakery shelf. But what makes it stand apart isn't how it looks. It's how it's made. Unlike fast-rising commercial breads, sourdough is fermented over many hours using natural bacteria and wild yeasts. This process doesn't just give it that signature tangy flavor, it transforms the bread from the inside out. Inside every slice, something remarkable is happening. The long fermentation helps break down gluten, pre-digesting some of the proteins that often upset sensitive stomachs. This isn't just folklore, it's been shown in scientific literature. In a 2023 review published in Frontiers in Nutrition, researchers led by Carola Greco found that sourdough fermentation significantly reduces gluten content and helps degrade FODMAPs, those gas-producing sugars many older adults find hard to digest. The result, a bread that's gentler on the belly, easing bloating and discomfort after meals. But that's not all. The same fermentation process boosts the bread's nutritional profile. In a 2022 review by Xu, Tseng, and Chien titled Sourdough, An Old Technology with Modern Relevance, published in Current Opinion in Food Science, they revealed how the extended fermentation increases key nutrients like folate, thiamine, and magnesium. Even more impressively, it breaks down phytic acid, a natural compound in grains that blocks mineral absorption. This means sourdough helps your body absorb more iron, zinc, and calcium, which are all vital for bone strength, muscular repair, and nerve health as we age. Authentic sourdough feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which in turn supports your immune system and lowers chronic inflammation. This connection between gut health and systemic well-being is something scientists are now calling the gut-brain immune axis. And there's one more gift sourdough offers: peace of mind. In a 2021 study led by Adriano Sofo, Baking Using Sourdough, a beneficial remedy against stress during the COVID-19 lockdown, researchers observed that sourdough making and eating provided a sense of comfort, routine, and connection for many older adults, especially during isolating times. This traditional bread became a small daily ritual that brought emotional balance. To enjoy sourdough's full benefits, look for breads made through true natural fermentation, typically labeled authentic sourdough or wild yeast fermented. They should have no added commercial yeast. Better yet, choose whole grain sourdough if you want more fiber and antioxidants. So yes, while many breads can spike your sugar or bloat your belly, authentic sourdough works in quiet harmony with your body. It nourishes not just your stomach, but your spirit too. So far, we've explored the breads that nourish your body, supporting your gut, blood sugar, and even your mood. But not every loaf deserves a place at your table, especially after 60. Let's now uncover the 4 types of bread that may quietly harm your health and what you should avoid. Number 1. Potato bread. For older adults, potato bread might be doing more harm than good, quietly stirring up blood sugar spikes and even cancer risks that few realize are bad. Let me explain why. Most people think potato bread is a better choice simply because potatoes are vegetables. But once you mash those potatoes into dough and bake them into bread, the story changes dramatically. A study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health in 2020, led by researchers including Yifei Zhang and Yaru Guo, looked closely at the starch breakdown in potato-based bread. They found that potato bread has one of the highest glycemic indexes among all common breads, higher than white bread, higher than wheat bread. That means when you eat a slice, it acts almost like pure sugar in your bloodstream. But there's a second problem, and it's less visible. When bread is baked at high temperatures, a chemical called acrylamide forms. It's a byproduct of the Maillard reaction, the same process that gives bread its golden crust. But acrylamide isn't harmless. It's been classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, as probably carcinogenic to humans, Group 2, Ampere, with links to both genetic mutations and long-term cancer risks. A 2023 paper titled Risk-Benefit Assessment of Acrylamide in Bakery Products by Amar Auzaleg and Delia Ojanaka, published in Nutrition and Food Science, explored how acrylamide forms in different baked goods. Their findings were striking. Potato-based breads showed significantly higher acrylamide levels than many others, especially when toasted or baked to a darker color. That aligns with another large-scale study by Hassan Yazdanpana and colleagues published in Food and Chemical Toxicology 2022. They analyzed 87 bread samples from across Iran and found that over 94% were contaminated with acrylamide and about 20% with benzoaperine, another harmful compound formed during baking. The researchers used risk models like the Target Hazard Quotient (THQ) and Margin of Exposure (MOE), and concluded that both compounds posed an elevated lifetime cancer risk, particularly for seniors. Why does potato bread form more acrylamide? It comes down to two things: the type of starch and the presence of the amino acid asparagine. Potatoes are rich in both. When these two react under high heat, like during baking, acrylamide forms quickly and in larger amounts than in other types of bread. The soft texture and slightly sweet taste of potato bread come at the cost of increased chemical formation. Now, none of this means you can never eat a slice of potato bread again. But if you're over 60, and especially if you're managing blood sugar or watching cancer risk, it may be time to rethink what you're putting on your plate each morning. Sometimes, it's the softest foods that carry the hardest truths. Number 2. Sweetbreads and pastries. Sweetbreads and pastries have a way of making us feel comforted, warm, soft, and a little indulgent. But if you're over altmush, these treats may be quietly working against your health more than you realize. It's not just the sugar rush that's the problem. It's the complex mix of ingredients that can destabilize blood sugar, add unhealthy fats, and leave your body longing for balance. Research from Slavika Grujic and Bojana Ojakovic in 2021 paints a clear picture of how popular sweet-baked goods often overwhelm the diabetic and older population with high sugar content and refined flours. Their study highlighted the rapid blood sugar spikes and insulin surges triggered by these treats, effects that can worsen fatigue, memory fog, and joint inflammation over time. But sugar isn't the only culprit. A detailed review by Lopez and colleagues in 2020 explains how the saturated and trans fats typically found in pastries don't just add extra calories, they also promote chronic inflammation and harm the cardiovascular system. Despite global health calls to reduce these harmful fats, many commercial pastries still contain them in amounts that can challenge an aging heart and vascular system. Then there's fiber, a nutrient that's almost always missing from sweetbreads and pastries. As highlighted in the comprehensive analysis by Gomez and team in 2020, fiber slows sugar absorption, supports gut health, and reduces inflammation. Without enough fiber, sugar floods the bloodstream unchecked, fueling the very metabolic problems older adults strive to avoid. Thankfully, these studies also point toward hopeful innovations. Scientists are experimenting with replacing refined sugar with alternatives like fructose or low-calorie sweeteners, and swapping out saturated fats for healthier oils, rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Adding fiber-rich ingredients like beta-glucan and inulin can also help transform these treats into options that nourish rather than burden. Understanding the science behind your favorite pastries can empower you to make smarter choices, selecting options with less sugar, better fats, and more fiber to protect your energy, heart, and overall well-being. Sweet breads and pastries can still be part of joyful moments, but with knowledge and care, you can enjoy them without compromising your health as you age. Number 3. White bread. White bread, one that touches your blood sugar, your risk of disease, and something most people never think about: toxic metals that quietly build up inside the body. To understand the risk, let's look at what happened in Turkey, a country where bread, much like in American homes, is on the table at nearly every meal. In 2022, a researcher named Burhan Basaran led a study called Comparison of Heavy Metal Levels and Health Risk Assessment of Different Bread Types marketed in Turkey. His team collected 60 different bread samples from across the country, both industrial and handmade, and tested them for 10 different heavy metals. These included things like aluminum, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, and lead. Now here's where the story takes a turn. Even though none of the metals in each slice reached what scientists call toxic levels by themselves, when combined, their effects added up, a concept called cumulative hazard. And in every bread group tested, including white bread, that combined hazard index crossed the safety threshold. Think of it this way: each slice may carry only a whisper of harm, but those whispers repeat day after day. Over time, they can become a chorus, quietly taxing your kidneys, your brain, your bones, and for older adults whose detox systems naturally slow with age, this accumulation can weigh even heavier. But heavy metals are just one part of this hidden equation. Also, in 2022, another group of scientists, led by Hassan Yazdanpana, published a study titled Health Risk Assessment of Process-Related Contaminants in Bread. They focused on two invisible compounds that form when bread is baked at high heat: acrylamide and benzoapyrene, also known as BAP. These chemicals aren't ingredients, they're byproducts of baking, especially in white bread made with refined flour. What they found was alarming. Over 94% of bread samples contained acrylamide, a chemical that the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies as probably carcinogenic to humans. Even more concerning, 20% of the breads had measurable levels of BAP, a compound that falls into group 1, which means it is definitively linked to cancer in people. The researchers used a tool called incremental lifetime cancer risk to estimate long-term impact, and in nearly every age group, especially older adults eating white bread regularly, the cancer risk from acrylamide exposure was higher than what's considered acceptable. With BAP, even a few micrograms per day pushed some individuals into unsafe territory. In 2019, a team led by Nasruddin published a study in the journal Foods showing that diets rich in refined white flour, like the kind found in soft sandwich bread, were tied to higher levels of body fat, more frequent hunger, and a greater risk of inflammation-related conditions. That soft texture, the one so many of us crave, dehests far too quickly. It offers calories without lasting energy and leaves your body craving more. While white bread may seem harmless and even nostalgic, it often does more harm than good, especially for older adults. It's not just about blood sugar or calories, it's about inflammation, toxic buildup, and long-term imbalance. That's why, after 60, white bread should be seen not as a daily comfort, but an occasional treat. Number 4. Gluten-free white bread. But for many older adults, that slice of soft, gluten-free bread might be doing more harm than good, especially if it's made from starch flours like tapioca, potato, or white rice. Let's start with something that sounds promising: high-protein rice flour. In 2020, Gabriela Paz and her team published a study titled High-Protein Rice Flour in the Development of Gluten-Free Bread in the Journal of Culinary Science and Technology. They experimented with new rice flour varieties richer in protein, around 9 to 10%, to see if it could improve the nutrition of gluten-free bread without sacrificing taste or texture. And they succeeded. Partly. Breads made with high-protein rice flours were well accepted in taste tests. People liked how they looked, smelled, and felt in the mouth. But here's the twist. Even these higher protein flours still created breads low in fiber, fast to digest, and high on the glycemic index. That means they spike blood sugar quickly, just like regular white bread. For older adults with sluggish insulin response or early-stage diabetes, this gentle-looking bread may be quietly nudging blood sugar into dangerous territory. And what happens when you use pure starches like tapioca or cornstarch? In 2020, a research team led by Mohammed M. Shojai Aliabadi published a study in Applied Sciences titled Optimization of Gluten-Free Bread Formulation based on rice flour, cornstarch, and hydrocolloids. They found that while these starch-heavy recipes produced breads that were soft and fluffy, with excellent bounce and structure, the nutritional profile was still lacking. Very little fiber, almost no resistant starch, and minimal protein. These breads break down fast during digestion, sending a rush of glucose into the bloodstream, followed by a crash. Now, why does this matter more after 60? Because our metabolism changes, muscle mass decline, insulin sensitivity drops, and blood sugar regulation becomes more fragile. For someone managing prediabetes, a slice of gluten-free white bread made from starches may seem harmless, but it's fueling the very cycle they're trying to break. Quick hunger, chronic cravings, and a creeping waistline. There's another piece of the puzzle too, one that's less talked about. Heavy metals. While the documents we reviewed didn't directly measure toxins in gluten-free breads, it's worth noting that starches like cassava and rice, depending on where they're grown, may absorb arsenic or cadmium from the soil. And for older adults, whose detox pathways slow with age, even small daily exposures can add up. That's why gluten-free doesn't always mean healthier, especially when it's made from fast carbs, low fiber, and minimal protein. It may be easier on the gut in terms of gluten sensitivity, but it can quietly strain blood sugar, metabolism, and satiety. If you're choosing gluten-free, look for options made with whole grain flours like buckwheat, sorghum, or teff, or better yet, rotate in naturally gluten-free foods like sweet potatoes, lentils, or quinoa. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Aging may bring changes, but every small choice, from a simple breakfast to a quiet dinner, is a chance to care for your body with kindness. Keep listening to yourself, adjusting gently, and honoring your health with patience. I wish you steady energy, clear thinking, and meals filled with comfort and joy. Until next time, take good care and stay well. Thank you for watching.